Welcome to The Explainer. If you're running a small or medium-sized business, it feels like everyone is telling you to move to the cloud, right? But what does that really mean? Look, this isn't just about a tech upgrade. It's a huge, strategic journey, and it can either be the thing that supercharges your growth, or it can turn into a really costly headache. Today, we're going to build the roadmap to make sure it's the first one.
And this, right here, really gets to the heart of it. All that amazing promise of the cloud, the cost savings, the flexibility, the speed, none of that stuff is automatic. It only pays off, it only works, when the move is planned well. The strategy you build before you move a single file is what makes all the difference.
So, what's really at stake with that planning? Well, you're basically choosing between two very different futures for your business. On one hand, you get it right and you unlock exactly what you're hoping for. You save money on IT, you get the agility to jump on new opportunities, and your team can collaborate like never before. But a rushed, poorly planned move? Oof. That's a path that leads to spiraling costs you never saw coming, your critical operations grinding to a halt, and maybe even serious compliance trouble. The entire outcome, for real, hinges on the plan you make right now.
So to keep us all on the right path, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with the why, the promise and the peril of the cloud. Then we'll dive straight into how to prepare for your move. After that, I'll walk you through a simple three-phase plan. We'll uncover the common traps to avoid, and then we'll wrap it all up with the first concrete moves you can actually make. Okay, first up, the cloud's promise and peril. Before you even think about packing a single digital box, you have to be absolutely crystal clear on the why. Why are you even considering this move in the first place?
And you know what? That why is often incredibly compelling. A successful move to the cloud means real, tangible cost savings. You're reducing the need for all those expensive on-site servers and the maintenance that goes with them. It gives you a huge boost in agility, letting you scale up or down instantly and innovate so much faster. And of course, your team's collaboration gets a major upgrade, with tools that let them work together seamlessly from, well, anywhere. These are the goals that make the whole journey worth it.
All right, so the why is clear. Now let's get into the how. Welcome to Section 2, Preparing for Your Move. I want you to think of this stage like carefully packing your bags for a big trip. The effort you put in right now is going to determine how smoothly everything goes later on.
Before you migrate anything, there are 3 steps that are just non-negotiable. First, you have to assess everything you've currently got. Every app, all your data, every little process. Second, you've got to build your strategy, a clear roadmap with actual goals and timelines. And third, and this is the one people always forget, you have to train your staff. A powerful new system is totally useless if your team doesn't have the skills to actually use it.
So this is where those big ideas become a real practical checklist. You need to ask yourself, is our infrastructure assessment actually done? Is our strategy written down somewhere? Is staff training literally on the calendar? Are we 100% sure we're good on all the legal and compliance rules? And have we picked the right tools and partners to help us? This isn't just a list, you guys. It's your go/no-go readiness check.
Now, that checklist tells you what to do. This framework is about how to think through each of those steps. You start by defining your objectives. What does a win actually look like for us? Then, you evaluate all your options to see which cloud services really get you there. Crucially, you have to measure your risk, especially around security. And finally, just remember that no plan is perfect. You have to build in a process to listen to feedback and adapt as you go.
With our prep work done, we can now move into the core of the whole process. Welcome to Section 3, your 3-phase migration plan. This is the step-by-step roadmap that's going to get you to the cloud. This entire journey can be broken down into 3 totally manageable phases. We've already talked a lot about preparation, which is all about the planning. Next up is execution. That's the actual move. And finally, there's optimization, which is all about making sure everything runs perfectly once you're there. Breaking it down like this just makes the whole thing feel so much less overwhelming, doesn't it?
So let's drill down into Phase 1, Preparation. This is the foundation for absolutely everything else. It starts with defining what success looks like with crystal clear objectives. But just as important is creating a risk assessment. You really have to ask, what could go wrong? What could happen to our data, our security, our operations? And then you need a specific plan to counter every single one of those potential threats.
Now for Phase 2, Execution. A huge decision you'll make here is your cloud model. Are you going to go with a public cloud like AWS for maximum flexibility, a private one for total control, or maybe a hybrid of both? And here's a pro tip for you. Don't try to move everything at once. Please, start small with a pilot project. Move a non-critical app first, just to learn the ropes and build up some confidence.
And finally, phase 3, optimization. Now here's a crucial point that so many people miss. The work isn't over when you've moved. Nope, it's really just beginning. You need to be constantly monitoring performance using analytics tools. And you have to be super vigilant about managing your costs, making sure your cloud spending is actually delivering the value you planned for in the first place.
Okay, now that we have our roadmap, let's talk about the hazards you might find along the way. Section 4 is all about avoiding those common migration pitfalls, and trust me, knowing what they are is half the battle.
So what are these traps? What are the big mistakes that trip up small and medium-sized businesses most often when they try to make this move to the cloud?
It really boils down to 3 main traps. First, underestimating complexity. It's never just a simple lift and shift. You're often untangling a whole web of hidden connections between your systems. Second, ignoring security and compliance risks. Thinking the cloud provider handles everything for you is a catastrophic mistake. And third, a serious lack of change management. You're not just changing servers, you're changing how your team works every day, and they need to be brought along on that journey with you.
We have covered the why, the how, and the what not to do. So now for the most important part, making your first moves. This is all about turning this planning into real action.
Okay, here are your concrete next steps. First, start talking to the cloud providers. AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, they all have teams and tons of resources dedicated to helping you. Second, you have to leverage the right migration tools. Many of these providers offer services that can make the technical side of the transition way smoother. And third, plan for ongoing management from day one. Create a governance model for how you're going to maintain security and control costs in your new cloud environment. And that brings us to the end. We've laid out the map, we've gone through the checklist, and we've pointed out the common hazards. So the only question left is the one for you. When you look at your own business, what's the very first step you're going to take on your cloud journey? Thanks for joining me on The Explainer.